While judges at the International Criminal Court continue to deliberate on whether former DRC Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba should be sent back to jail for witness tampering, the case is being picked apart for how it will affect the court. Mr Bemba was acquitted of war crimes and crimes against humanity last month and saw his 18-year sentence dropped. Appeal judges say there wasn't enough evidence that he ordered or at least didn't try to prevent his troops from committing war crimes in the Central African Republic in 2002 and 2003. But he's still convicted of witness tampering in that case, which carried a maximum jail term of 5 years. He's been released after 10 years in prison, and the separate witness tampering case started 4.5 years ago. ICC prosecutors are now pressing to see him face the full 5 years, but the defense team say that's simply a way for them to make up for their failures in the main case. Well, SABC News' Jack Parrock follows the ICC and spoke to Mr Bemba's lead defense lawyer, Peter Haynes, who represented him in the war crimes trial.
Peter Haynes, you're the lead counsel for Jean-Pierre Bemba in the main case. He's now been acquitted, and we're now facing a sort of division between his defence in the witness tampering case and the prosecution. I wonder if you could give us your take on what is happening at the International Criminal Court regarding this case right now.
The case was remanded back to the trial chamber for re-sentence in relation to the witness tampering, or Article 70 case as we call it. And today the chamber in that case convened a hearing so that everybody can make submissions about what impact the acquittal in the main case has on his sentence in the Article 70 case. The Article 70 case is one in which he can be given a maximum of 5 years, and he's been in custody for 10. And obviously the prosecution and the defence take rather different positions on what the impact of the acquittal is. The prosecution, in a filing yesterday and today, have advanced the theory that his acquittal is in fact an aggravating circumstance of the witness tampering case. The defence take quite the opposite view, which is that a man having wasted 10 years of his life in custody, you need to factor that in computing his sentence. It remains to be seen what the chamber will do.
He's your client. How does Jean-Pierre Bemba himself feel about this?
His release at the moment is still conditional because he's remanded to this chamber on sentence. So there are conditions as to what he can do. He can't speak to the press, for example, about his case. He can't go anywhere without notifying the ICC where he's going. So I think he'd like it to be over. His approach to life at the moment is very much one step at a time. He's only been home with his family for a couple of weeks, so I think that's his primary focus. You'll have noted he wasn't here today. I think he's had enough of appearing in this court.
That was going to be my question, but obviously I suppose he just doesn't want to come up here at the moment.
No, and there are security concerns and that sort of thing. He attracts a large following wherever he goes, and it would be logistically very difficult, I think, for him to walk through the front door here and appear in the courtroom. And given the option, he prefers not to be here. But then again, none of the accused were here today.
This case has essentially kind of torn the court apart publicly at times. We've seen the prosecutor issuing a very stern statement against the acquittal, saying that the appeals chamber has overstepped its mark, essentially, and the president of the court coming out and heavily criticising the prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, for doing that. I wonder what your take on this whole thing is, because it seems to be broader than just within the courtroom, this case.
I think the sense I always had when we were doing the trial in the main case was that it was a very important case for the International Criminal Court. With the greatest of respect, some of the accused who were tried here before Bemba weren't such eminent figures. And of course, at that time, the Kenya cases were disappearing, were going through the prosecution's fingers, really. And so Bemba assumed a massive importance. He was the big scalp, and the prosecution was desperate to secure and uphold a conviction. I'm not going to say very much about what's passed since. I was delighted with the appeals chamber's judgment. I think it was very brave. I think it was correct. But the prosecutor felt it important to criticise it. That's her business, really. And you've seen much of the same today, really. The arguments advanced in court were broadly in line with what Madame Bensouda had to say in her statement last week.
Now, an acquittal like this, and if Mr Bemba is eventually sort of freed from the court in the sense that he can go anywhere and speak to the press, will have effects broader than here at the International Criminal Court as well. There are elections set for December in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and he still enjoys broad political support there. I wonder if you can tell us whether you know his intentions, whether he has signalled to you that he might want to return to the DRC and contest those elections?
The answer to that is no. I mean, he has a political party, he has political agents. I'm his lawyer. I don't really, I'm not here to speak for him on that behalf. I'd just repeat what I did say, which is that it's one step at a time at the moment. He's going to have a lot of voices in his ears at the moment telling him different things. And he's going to have to weigh up those views before making any decision in that regard. Obviously, he hasn't got very long, because I think any candidature has to be registered by the first week in August or something. But you'll know soon enough.